everyone, welcome once again to Flash Discussions. I'm Captain Logan, and joining me this week is Beware the Steve Baxi.
Hello, everybody.
And it's the amazing Dan Torrey!
Hello.
Dan, how excited are you to finally get back to Flash, sir?
I'm pretty excited, especially since Captain Cold's back.
I know!
He's amazing.
And he's great!
Nice puns everywhere.
Yeah, but not just ice puns, we got heat puns this time!
Yes, those were great. They were all great puns. And Ghostbuster jokes, let's not forget those.
Yeah, and those are pretty cool. We're going to go ahead and jump straight into it. As always, we have a live audience with us right now. Say hello, live audience. Our live audience is going to discuss things with us here a little bit later, and we're going to give them the opportunity to interact with us in the comments in the chat box. We're going to do our opening statements right now, putting 25 minutes on the clock, a few more minutes since there's three of us, and we've got a lot to talk about today, with Flash coming back from the mid-season, and we're going to start with Dan. Dan, what did you think of this one? What was your best moment and your worst moment, sir?
I quite enjoyed this one. Some of the action stuff was not to my liking necessarily in terms of like the way that it ended up playing out and the way that they stopped the bad guys, but that's kind of like a constant for the show. Like, we had complained before with some of the previous episodes that the way they stopped the bad guys were a little strange. I thought doing the Ghostbusters thing was a little obvious, but other than that, I really liked Captain Cold and Heatwave interacting, and I really liked the interaction, of course, as always, between Barry and Joe. Iris wasn't as obnoxious as she has been lately. I thought she was a little bit better, and Eddie didn't seem as superficial as he had a few episodes before. So,
high praise, Dan. High praise.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I quite enjoyed this one. I thought it was pretty solid overall. If anything, I think it's a good idea to start bringing in the rogues after we're doing the Reverse Flash stuff, because this episode was kind of about how Barry's attention is going to have to be divided between an immediate threat and a threat that could strike and kill everyone that he knows and loves at any time. And that's the stakes are really high for the show now, higher than I kind of expected them to be. I didn't think that they would consider the fact that Reverse Flash has the potential to do things like that. I'm glad they're thinking about that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, they're falling into a comic book world now, so they got to start adjusting their minds and figure out that it's not like life isn't the way they thought of it. You got to think like Dan Torrey now if you're going to deal with something like Reverse Flash. Steve, your opening statement, sir.
So I had to watch this one twice. I wasn't crazy about it the first time. I thought it was kind of by the numbers, but I actually really enjoyed it the second time around. I love how much the Reverse Flash still has a presence. There's hardly a scene in this episode where we don't directly address the fact that he's there, and that's what's motivating a lot of these actions. I love everything with Barry trying to get faster. It's a little typical that the solution in the end is to go slower, but I don't know, I thought it worked in the context. I thought it was nice Silver Age comic booky, which is basically what Barry is, and I like that. Overall, I thought it was an okay episode. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as that season finale with the Reverse Flash, but it's certainly a really good build-up, and it feels like we're in for another bigger ending. Which is cool, and I hope we get more with Wells and Joe, because that's my favorite moment. That scene where Wells and Joe were together, and Joe was saying that you sound a lot like, or Barry sounds a lot like you now. It was kind of creepy, and then Wells kind of taking a little bit more risks, like in the opening when he's getting ready to rescue Barry if anything went wrong with that drone. I thought all that stuff was really fascinating. My worst moment is the part where they're researching Firestorm, and they find that 800-page document. It's not a terrible scene, and there's much worse stuff in this episode, like with Iris. But that just bugs me on a technical level, because it's 800 pages. He reads all of it, and the only information he gets was already in the title. So I just think it's really unnecessary. That is a summarization of anything you do in college. Just don't read the 800-page document, read the title, and you're good.
You know what? I had two. Okay, we're going to talk about this, yeah? I had two worst problems with it, or two things I thought were worse with that scene, Steve. And one of them was just, that is the most ridiculous acronym I have ever heard. That acronym is...
Their name is spelled SHIELD.
Oh, that acronym is hilarious. I mean, like, when you really... Firestorm is one okay. The other thing I thought was... And this is kind of a consistently irritating thing, but it hasn't come up a whole lot, and that is... Would you really be able to process information faster just because you could run fast? And if you could, wouldn't you be like a Flowers for Algernon super genius in like 3 days? Like if he can really skim that fast and have any kind of recall whatsoever, he should go to the library for like 5 hours and he'll be a super genius.
Well,
We
Dan, I'm
talked
sure
about that in an episode before. In Flash discussions, me and you had talked about
Did
that,
we?
and like how the Flash could possibly be smarter than Batman and be, the ultimate superhero. And somebody brought it up in the comments, and they said something that I didn't realize. In the comics, I guess it's established that he can read information really fast, but his brain doesn't retain all of it. Like it goes away after a short period of time because
Okay.
he's not using the same synapses. So, I mean, maybe that's the case here. I'm not sure, but I'm with you. If he's able to retain all the information, he should be a super genius.
But then,
And I mean,
but then to
Jeff, the exact
Steve's
thing we
point,
talked about just going to the library for 5 hours is what Bart Allen does in the comics, and he's the only speedster that can retain information.
well, but and then at the same time, from Steve's point, maybe he isn't because it was in the title and he didn't actually need to skim it. So that's pretty funny. Okay, Steve, did you have anything else? Because I kind of
the only other
interrupted you.
thing I wanted to mention is some of the nicknaming stuff and Cisco were constantly annoying for the whole series, and I didn't really like him. Cisco's not any better here, but I like the fact that we get some stuff with Star Labs redeeming themselves, and Cisco has a nice speech about supplying the police with weapons. My only question about that scene is where is Star Labs getting their funding? It was one thing when they were only using equipment to help Barry, but now they're just mass-producing things, and it's really strange.
Yeah, is the police department funding them, and like why would that be going on? And it is like somehow is it Joe West somehow? I wouldn't think that he would have that kind of pull.
No, I mean, he's a cop. He doesn't have that kind of money to fund high-tech shield equipment and such. I
No,
don't
of
know where
course
that's
not.
coming
But I'm
from.
just saying, like, is it somehow his influence because he's working with them that he was able to like convince the local government? I don't see that. I mean,
if that's the case, I would need a scene, Like,
Yeah.
it just feels out of nowhere.
It absolutely does. That's a great point. I'm gonna somewhat disagree with you guys both about the whole about how he defeats the Rogues at the end. I liked it. I'm with you that maybe the whole crossing the streams thing is maybe a little bit obvious, but here's what I liked about it. This is a really solid script, I think. I like that we use the hot and the cold thing in this cool figurative thematic way, where Barry has to find some kind of a balance between using his emotions and not being controlled by them. There's something kind of symbolic about the whole going slower thing. He's got to find this middle road between being a hothead and being so calculating that he is like unemotional to the point of being almost inhuman. And then you get to the end and you got the hot guy and the cold guy, and they can't get along because they can't find a balance. They're those two extremes. That was what I liked about it, and ultimately that was the thing that that was the coolest thing about the episode. I thought was that it's very much that Spider-Man responsibility thing of figuring out exactly what it means to be a hero, and that being a hero isn't just prioritization. It's not, because that gets really sticky, right? They and I like the way that they talked about it, where it's like once you get to decide who's more worthy to be helped than other people, or like what problem is more worthy to be solved than other people, you have too much control and too much power. So the point is to try no matter what happens, and you can sleep okay at night when things go wrong because you at least tried every time. I really liked all that. I had a minor criticism to that point though, and that is early on, and I'm with you, Steve. I liked the idea on principle of Wells with the whole thing where Joe says that Barry is starting to act too much like Wells and he's getting too calculating and he's supposed to help everyone because he's a hero. But what I didn't get about it was that I didn't think that was really his motivation fight. I didn't feel like he was prioritizing the same way Wells was, because Barry's argument was, I'm afraid if I just go meet this guy like he's a bully on the playground, that innocent bystanders are going to get hurt. And like that was also part of it, and I feel like that's part of his whole heroic "I gotta help everybody" thing. It's like I didn't think Joe was completely fair there. I don't know what you guys think about that, but like I thought that whole thing was a little bit off.
I mean, I don't know. It's a tough choice. I think Joe is more thinking about like, in the meantime, you have no idea of knowing if this guy's going to show up, and bystanders are going to be hurt either way if you don't go and stop these people, or if you don't train with your powers and go fight the Reverse Flash. I think he was concerned about with the immediate threat. I kind of saw where he was coming from. But.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but I felt like maybe it was going too far to say that he's acting too much like Wells. I didn't see that.
Well, he used the same exact line of dialogue. I think that's what he was kind of getting at, and he was trying to say, by saying that you're trying to influence him a little too much. And he's been suspicious of Wells kind of the whole time, and what his motives are and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I think that was sort of the show saying, you know, Joe is getting more and more suspicious of him. And I liked that aspect of the scene because I've been saying all along that Joe is too smart and unpredictable for Wells and his contingencies and what he's trying to plan, and he's eventually going to have to be disposed of in some way or another.
Yeah, and a couple things with that real quick. Sorry. First of all, I mean, I'm still hating this whole Barry not being suspicious of Wells anymore thing because it came out of nowhere, and he should be as suspicious or more so than Joe was because he basically saw him kill a dude. But the other thing is Joe should have, and we didn't talk about this, I don't think, Dan, in discussions, and I was meant to. Shouldn't Joe have immediately suspected Wells of being the Reverse Flash, or at the very least being the person that was threatening Iris? Because that all like when his place got ransacked, that all happened conveniently right after they had that argument in that episode when they first started working together. Like, oh, isn't that convenient? Like he really should have been suspecting West this whole time because of that.
Well, he did see both of them together.
No, I know that.
In one scene.
I know that, but that was
so that might have thrown him off.
I get that, Dan, but that was episodes after the place got ransacked. What I'm saying is, he should have thought that Wells was after his daughter.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, I just always...
I think it was pretty clear to him from what happened that was the Reverse Flash, and then he saw them separately. Like, he saw the streak and everything that the Reverse Flash had, so it wasn't that it could have been just some regular dude that went and ransacked his house, you know.
Well, that's true, but he should have at least gone to Wells and been like, "Hey, this is kind of weird that these things lined up like they did. I don't know if I buy that you actually need to be in a wheelchair." just in that episode. Anyway, let's see, best moment, worst moment. I liked the fight better than you did, Dan. I thought there was some pretty fun things in it. I think this is so minor. I think my favorite thing was Wells's throwaway reaction to Ghostbusters. Just like the really deadpan way he says, and it was really quite funny. Like, I just thought that was hysterical. Okay, so let's go ahead and go on to quotes. Guys, I didn't really have any this episode. Did you besides that? I guess that was my favorite. Did you guys have any good quotes?
All of Captain Cold's ice puns were great.
Yeah, those were great, and I also liked Heatwave's line of after Captain Cold was trying to explain the painting to him, he says it represents to me that people with lots of money buy dumb stuff.
Oh man, these guys are not intellectuals, right? Like there's nothing cerebral between these two.
There's also that line you mentioned earlier about why do they call you guys the Heat? I'm the Heat.
I'm the Heat. Yeah, that was pretty great. We've always got lots of comic book references in both this and Arrow. We got the Scarlet Speedster name drop, which I think that line, and this is just me maybe, but that line is way too golden or silver age for somebody to just come up with it now, but okay. And I'm pretty sure Professor Stein is part of Firestorm, right?
Yes.
And then there's some other stuff with the Atom and stuff like that. Did you guys pick up on some other specifics?
We did see Leonard Stark's sister at the end, who was the supervillain, the Golden Glider, and is intimately involved in his origin and his motivation for I Hates the Flash so much in the comics. So I was very happy to see that. Because I love all that stuff with Captain Cold's backstory that Jeff Johns did in the comics. It's good stuff.
I was going to ask you what villain his sister is and stuff like that, because as soon as that was revealed at the end, I was like, oh, that's a thing that Dan probably really appreciated.
Yeah.
There was also one other reference when the painting is stolen from the Rathaways, and they are talking about their son Hartley, and they're the parents of Pied Piper.
Oh.
Who's actually showing up next episode.
Yeah, because people are probably just waiting with bated breath for that, right?
I love the Pied Piper. He eventually reforms and becomes Wally's sidekick. He's a great character.
Oh, really? Oh, I guess we've talked about that, but I forgot that you said that. But I've not experienced it myself. So anyway, all right, let's go ahead and go on to trivia questions. Dan, did you have a trivia question this week, sir?
I did not write one down, no. But I can think of one right now. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Improv questions.
The Golden Glider, Leonard Stark's sister in the comics, dates supervillain that's also a part of Flash's rogue gallery. I wonder who that is. Which supervillain?
Okay, Steve, what is your question, sir?
My question is, after Barry Allen dies in the comics, Captain Cold's sister and Captain Cold himself go into business together. What's the name of their company?
I also forgot to write a trivia question down for this particular episode, Dan. So you're not alone. So we'll get the answer to you guys' questions here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and go on to more general discussion. One of the things I was surprised that I really liked is the ending, and this is the kind of thing that I don't usually care about, but I got weirdly excited that Barry and Joe are going to move in together.
Yeah, I like that scene a lot, especially at the end when they're about to have a beer together, and Bear's like, this doesn't do anything for me, and Joe's like, just drink it.
I am looking at questions and comments and things right now. Dan, was there another scene or any element that we haven't dealt with yet that you really want to make sure that we brought up?
Let's see. I thought that the scene at the end with Heatwave in the police precinct being arrested was a little bit over the top. I ended up just the right amount in the rest of the scenes, but when he was like screaming and yelling and stuff, I was like, all right, you should probably tone it down just a bit.
Yeah, you had to wonder if the director was like more, and that guy was like, I don't know, dude.
I mean, you could just kind of tell that, like, everyone in the police precinct was really uncomfortable with what was going on. They're like, someone needs to get this guy under control.
McCaffrey says, I think Professor Stein's mind is currently in control of Robbie's body. That's a really interesting idea. I would be surprised if they went there, just because he sure acted like himself when we saw him.
Well, they're doing the full-on Firestorm personality thing, so it's possible that, like, at any point he's being controlled by Professor Stein.
Yeah. Everybody in the comments also loved "I'm the Heat." Getting a whole bunch of "I'm the Heat." maybe that'll turn into another thing that we end up saying a whole lot, like Shiny Shoes. I'm the Heat. Somebody else, I don't know where it was, but I just cracked up at this, and I gotta say it. Somebody, sorry, I don't know the person's name. Somebody earlier was like, shouldn't the Reverse Flash be called the Slow? And I just thought that was kind of funny. A lot of just kind of observations people are making here. Spider-Ham, I feel bad for Barry's old landlord. I would assume he'd probably keep that place because it's kind of a sanctuary for him. Like, I wonder if he won't go, kind of go between them, but maybe not.
He's got all those evidence stuff up there, so
yeah. And plus, you got to have that really sad, like, broody place for your young superhero who nothing ever goes right for him to go to. That's important. You got to have that.
One of the things about him moving in with Joe, I thought immediately of Spider-Man. Like, 'cause that's totally what it is. Like Peter living with Aunt May.
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought the same thing.
Alex has a good observation here when he says that he doesn't want the Flash to turn into Arrow with a whole bunch of characters that do nothing.
Why are we more worried about that now than usual?
Because apparently the conversation moved to adding Barry and Pied Piper to Flash's cast.
Oh, okay. But I thought it was just like a villain.
Isn't Barry already in the cast?
Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about right now. And isn't Pied Piper just a villain?
Well, apparently the Pied Piper was supposed to be part of Barry's team in the original script. So
okay. Oh, so he could end up being part of the team later. I see what you're saying. Yeah, and that could end up being a problem, and it's been a problem with Arrow before. One thing I want to see happen eventually is these shows to start sharing characters more often, and not make a big giant deal out of it every time it happens. What I mean is, like, take somebody from this cast and add them to Arrow, and take somebody from Arrow and add them to this cast. Like Felicity. We're still getting some people trying to decide what female love interest in these shows is the worst. There's still a lot of Iris versus Laurel versus Barbara. Laurel has almost fallen off my radar at this point after some of the Iris stuff from a few episodes ago. And she was okay in this. I will say that I still just don't care about the love triangle, but I did really appreciate the whole Eddie saving the Flash thing, and that we don't even have to call back to the two-parter and talk about it, because it was just really forced, and I'm fine if they can't totally ignore it, but I'm fine if they don't keep talking about it all that much, honestly. I like that he did that, and I like that Barry was acting really reasonable at the end. Like it was kind of... Again, I don't care about this love triangle right now, because, I mean, we know eventually he and Iris are going to get together, so who cares? Just, eventually we'll get there. But I did like his whole... it was kind of touchy. The whole I can see the future and you'll be with him, but we'll be friends again. I like that he did that. I don't expect that we'll totally move on now, but I don't know. I thought he was a lot more in character this episode to who I thought he was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I agree. Also, about Eddie, what's going to happen with this task force that he got approved episodes ago? Did we even see them? Are they now gone? What's up with that?
Well, maybe now that he's dealt with the Reverse Flash and he's, like, saved the Flash, he'll just be like, oh, you know what? Never mind. We don't need that. We don't need that anymore.
Well, see, because then the hilarious thing is, there's literally like a 2-minute change from when he got it approved to when he doesn't need it anymore, because right after that, he learns about everything.
Ren says, my question is, are Barry and company feeding and bathing the criminals that they lock up? And if so, how are they paying for that? It's not cheap to run a prison. Yeah, no kidding. I've been wondering the same thing. And again, it's irritating that both shows have this now. It's like, I don't know how we're feeding people at Oliver's prison or this prison. And we've got multiple people in both now, so... Let's see. I'm just looking for more comments here. Dan, we haven't heard a lot from you. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
I'm just really excited to see where they take Captain Cold and the rest of the rogues in that team from here on out. I would imagine that something's going to happen to Captain Cold's sister in the future involved with the Flash, and that'll give him a more intimate motivation that he she has like a debilitating disease. She gets one eventually, and that's why he has to like try to get money, is to like cure her. So he has this underlying nobility to him, and it makes him a really interesting character. So I'm hoping that they do something like that with her in the future related to the Flash, and that makes him hate him even more.
Super Enthusiast has a really good point. He says, in fairness, if you were to read a library full of books at regular speed, you wouldn't retain most of that either.
Yeah,
that's true.
But I don't know. I still feel like if you could get that much information at that quick of a speed and did it a lot, that you would still retain more just because you're reading that much more.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes you wonder if he forgets things faster.
We do have.
Would there just be aspects of his childhood that he just completely forgets because his brain's already moving past that information?
See, there's a point where superpowers kind of break down, Steve. That's it's important to remember that this doesn't happen in real life, as far as we know. I'm seeing a lot of people in the comments arguing about whether or not Cisco is cool, and one of my worst moments.
No.
I didn't really throw out a worst moment earlier, and it's just generally that Cisco. I'm just getting sick of the whole he names everybody joke. It's not funny. Quit doing that. Okay, I get it. We need some kind. we need something. We need some kind of conceit in order to name these characters. I get it, but they're playing it like it's a joke and like I'm supposed to be laughing at it. And I don't know. It got nauseating this episode.
I don't think tell them to stop.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
But I was saying the same thing.
Thing that Cisco has said ever throughout the entire series duration so far.
I also should mention that I had. That sound means we're all finished, but I want to mention that I try to throw in a goofy Cisco shirt every week, and this time it was the TV with the Mario or some NES game like sitting on legs. It was a really bizarre shirt. I don't know what that was. Anyway, you guys have any final thoughts before we get to trivia questions, to the answers?
More Captain Cold, please.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Also, we go back to Barry's dad.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I said it'd be cool if we got back to Barry's dad as well, now that the whole Reverse Flash thing is behind them, and he could probably be legally freed.
Yeah. Can we talk about that real fast? Why is he still in prison?
Barry's testimony, what Joe saw, clearly there's not enough evidence to hold him anymore.
And and the thing about it is, it's not like we're keeping the superpower thing that much of a secret even before we out Barry in this. By the way, we should have mentioned that earlier. I'm really glad that we're finally there. It's taken a little longer than I would have liked it to, but nobody can deny now that the Flash is real and that he can do what he can do, so that's great. But especially now that we're at that point, but even before that, I don't know that we were hiding superpowers that hard that we didn't have enough evidence that we could. Yeah, why is he still in prison? And it's even worse because we keep opening the episodes with that blurb like, someday I'm gonna get my dad out of prison, and it's like, no, I think that should have happened already. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. Well. Anyway, let's go ahead and get the answers to your trivia questions. Dan, what is the answer to your trivia question, sir?
The answer to my trivia question is the top.
The answer to my trivia question is the bottom. Steve, what is the answer to you?
The top.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, I get it. That was a joke, you know. I get it. Steve, I want more of those kind of questions from you, Dan, where you're just like, the answer is over there. Steve, what's the answer to your trivia question, sir?
The answer to mine is the Golden Snowball Recoveries Company.
Whoa, that's crazy. That's very amusing.
I don't imagine they got a lot of business.
Well, that is going to be it for us with Flash discussions this week. We will be back with you again next week, of course, for more Flash. Really excited that the show's back, and really happy with this one personally. All things told, I think we're back to something really close to the quality I thought we had right at the beginning of the season. So that's great. Anyway, everybody, thanks a bunch for watching. We sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan, and this was Dan Torrey.
See you later, guys.
And Steve Baxi.
See you, everybody.